Hello everyone. In the last video, we saw how we could containerize a .NET application using Dockerhub, as well as Azure Container Instance. We saw how we could do that manually. We created our Docker file manually. In this video, we are going to be looking at a faster approach. We'll be looking at how we can also containerize a .NET application, but using the multi-stage Docker file that is created for us via Visual Studio. So the process of creating a runnable version of our application that can be deployed to a web server will be done as part of the task in the Docker file. So without talking too much, let me open my Visual Studio and I'll be sharing my screen. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so I want to create a new project. So we are working with a .NET Core web app. So let me just call this football world. I don't know. That just came to my mind right now. So next, so one thing of note here is that we are enabling Docker because we want to see the multi-stage Docker file. We do not want to create our own Docker file from scratch. So we want Visual Studio to do it for us. That's why we are enabling Docker. In the previous video, we didn't enable Docker because we were creating our Docker file from the bin folder. So that's a major difference over here. So the moment I create, because of the heavy nature of Visual Studio, my screen will stop sharing and I will have to share again, unfortunately. Yeah, so let me reshare. Yeah, so this is our Visual Studio. We have our Docker file and um a couple of other files within our project for our .NET application. So what we want to do is we want to containerize this application. That's essentially what we want to do. So instead of going to publish in the bin, publish to a folder and going to our bin folder and running a Docker file and ensuring that our DLL files are in place, all we need to do here is to publish to our Azure Container Registry. So I'll be creating um what is it called? A container registry account, and that's on from the Azure portal. And we are going to be seeing how we can connect this to the container registry. So I already have one set up, but because of our time, I would just show us how we can do that. So let me go to my Edge browser so that we can see how we can create one. So the container registry is just like Docker Hub. It's Microsoft version of Docker Hub. So if you want to create one, just go to container registry, search for it in the search box. And I already have one created, which I will be using, but let me just try to create another. Um, so 204. Let me give it uh, the name Football World. It can be any name, but I just feel like giving it the same name because I don't have any name in mind. Call this basic and let's review and create. Hopefully our validation goes through. So containerize, as I said earlier on, is just Microsoft's alternative to using Dockerhub. So instead of using Dockerhub, you can choose to use um, this Azure Container Registry. And because it's by Microsoft, there's a feeling that it's more private. There's a feeling that it's easier to access from other services on the Azure platform too. So there are a couple of advantages. You don't need to tie yourself to Docker Hub. And Docker Hub is more open, it's more public. So the deployment is in progress, and that's just how you create a container registry. So within the container registry, we can have repositories. We can have repositories within the container registry. So let me go back to my Visual Studio. So what we want to do now is we want to publish this. Want to publish this to the container registry. So our Docker file, which I showed us earlier on, is going to, so let me just show you the Docker file. The Docker file will do all what is required to be done, all the tasks. It will create a runnable version of our application. It will run our build command to build an image, and it will also ensure that it will also clean up our application. So what is not in use, it would delete them also. So let me just go straight to our publish. I want to publish this to our container registry. So rather than picking Docker container registry, I'm picking Azure. Then I would choose Azure container registry here because this is where I want to copy my image to. Yeah, so we can see our resource group over here. So now you can see the two container registries. This was the one I had previously, and this is what I just created now. So we can pick anyone. Let me just pick this first one. Then finish. So this will go through the process of, it will first of all create a runnable version of our application. Yeah, so it's already ready. It's telling me to publish, which I will be doing now. So it will first create a runnable version of our application. After creating the runnable version of our application, then it will start by creating an image for our application. That's our .NET application. And after creating an image, to clean up our entire folder structure before now pushing our image to the Azure Container Registry. So that's the end goal, what we want to achieve, pushing it to the Azure Container Registry. quite interesting. This is going to take a while. It depends on how strong your my internet connection is. Hopefully it's going to get finished quite soon. Yeah, so I think it's almost over. It's pushing my application now to my container now. So the container registry is pushing my image rather to my container. So everything looks like it's working well. Everything looks like it's working well. Yeah, so what we are doing here is previously we containerized our .NET application using Dockerhub, and Azure container instance. But in this case now, we are containerizing our application using Azure Container Registry. We're also using Docker, and we are using the Docker support in Visual Studio. We are using Visual Studio, the Docker support, and we'll still be using the Azure Container Instance. Okay, so it's still pushing, it's still pushing to our container registry. Yeah, publish is succeeded. Hallelujah. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be returning to my Edge browser, and we'll be seeing if what we've pushed is reflected in our registry. So I pushed to IO Frankly, which I created just a few moments before I started this. So let's go over here. There's something I need to enable under access keys, but even before I do that, let me go to repository to be sure that we have it reflected here, what was pushed. Yeah, so you can see the football world um, project image rather that was pushed from Visual Studio. If I click on it, I will see the version that was pushed. So just one version, which is the latest version. You can see it here. So one thing I just want to quickly check is if I've enabled admin access for the access keys. If I've clicked on yeah, so I already did that. An admin user. I did that before this video started. So this will help when I'm creating my container instance. So now we already have our image, and our image is in our container registry, but we need a server to be able to utilize that image, just to be sure that the image that we have is actually working and people can use it. People that have access to it can call it into their environment and it will work. So what I will be using to test that, since we are in the Azure environment, is Azure Container Instance. So Azure Container Instance is like a server, it's like a virtual machine. It's unlike the usual virtual machine. This is created to run images. So it's used to run images of maybe operating systems or what have you, or dependencies or different platforms. So I'll be choosing my resource group. Now the container name, so let me also give it the same name I use for the image. It can be anything. So let me also use football world. I can give that, can be anything actually. So this is the interesting part. When you come over here to image source, because there must be an image source for your container instance. So I can either use, so in the previous tutorial that we had, I went for other registry because we are connecting to Docker Hub. But in this case, because it's the container registry, I will go for the container registry, which is clearly stated here. And it's easier for me to just navigate to the registry and the repository that I want to connect to. So which of these two? I use this first one. So it's asking me to select the image, and this is the only image there, so it has automatically chosen it. Yeah, so I think that's basically all. Let's see. Any other thing of interest? I don't think so. So everything looks fine. So let's review and create. So what we are doing is that we are containerizing a .NET application, a .NET core web app, and we are almost done. Yeah, so it's creating our container instance now. Yeah, so the deployment is in progress. The deployment is in progress. You can see that the instance has been created already. Deployment is in progress. The resource has been created. It's ongoing. In a few moments from now, it should be done. So what we want to do is that we want to see if the image was clearly reflected in the instance through the public IP. So if everything works well, if I should run the application from Visual Studio, because it's a .NET Core web app, I would see the default page for .NET Core web app. But now we use that application to create an image, and now we are drawing in that image. Note that we did not draw the application. It is an image of the application that was drawn. So let's now confirm that what we have is going to work. So that's what we want to do now. So before I do that, let's go to, let's see the attached containers. Yeah, so everything is normal. It has started and everything looks like it's working as it should. Let's go back to the overview. Let me copy the URL to clipboard. Let's see what we have. Yeah, so you can see we have the default page for a .NET Core web app application. So everything works well. The image that we created and pulled to the Azure container registry was valid. So that's basically what this tutorial is about. I hope that you've been able to learn how to containerize a .NET core web application using the default Docker file that Visual Studio gives to you. So let's just have a quick look at the Docker file before we end this video. So the Docker file can be edited. So you can see some of what we did manually previously. You can see it's been done here for us. So we can see how we navigated to to our work directory, which contains our source file, and we saw how we call .NET as the base image that we are using to create this image. So basically, this is the Docker file that was given to us from by Visual Studio, that we can use to create and in most cases, it's usually sufficient for our own use. So I don't want this video to be long, so let's just end it here. If you find this video interesting, if you've gained or learned something, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.